Hello friends, I hope everybody's doing good. Okay, so today I want to try to test this snowblower here. It's a fairly new snowblower, and what happened with this was it had an 8 horsepower Tecumseh on it, and what happened was the throttle stuck full throttle on it, and it was actually a simple fix, but the guy just ran it until it was ready to throw the connecting rod, but it didn't quite throw it. It was just wedged against the blocks, so the engine was seized. Because what I did was I took the engine off it, and I always like to check to see why it happened. And what happened was this: it was a simple fix. When the engine is off, the throttle goes to full throttle, and then when you start the engine, the governor pulls the throttle off to its running RPM. Some of you probably heard the story about this before, and I know a connecting rod and a crankshaft would have fixed it. Could have saved the crankshaft, but because it had metal all around it, there was a way you could probably get the metal off it. But long story short, a connecting rod and a crankshaft probably would have fixed it. So, being that these blowers get put away wet, what happened was the throttle was stuck on the full position, full throttle. When the guy started it up, he chose to just let it run. He ran away with itself, and that's how the engine blew. What I did was I just took some WD-40 and gave it I sprayed it like 3 spurts, and I freed it up right away. He could have saved all that trouble, so he ended up throwing it out in the garbage. Now, I had this 5.5 horsepower Tecumseh I had on my Craftsman. I used to call that the jalopy snowblower because that thing broke every time you took it out. And what I did is I put the engine on there. One problem, the main problem was the crankshaft here where the pulleys go on. The crankshaft is smaller on the 5.5, smaller than the 8 horsepower. So I just put the original crank pulley system back on, and it turned out that the drive belt lined up perfectly. There was no problem with that. So I kept thinking about it. I was almost going to give up on it. What I did was I added another pulley. What it was the auger belt wasn't riding straight on the other pulley that was meant for the auger belt. So I bolted another pulley on there, and then the belt lined up, and it was okay. So the main reason why I want to try this is to see if this system's okay. So far we put a carburetor on it. The carburetor was no good. Then I ordered a hyper carburetor, but before that the fuel line was shot, and I tried to fish a new one through it, and what happened was I was using the premium fuel line, and the outer diameter was too fat and it wouldn't pass through the bracket behind the fan shroud here, the starter shroud. It wouldn't fit through. So what we did was I made video. There's a video on everything we did to this machine, and we ended up taking the tank off, the shroud off, whatever we had to do to get to the hose. I even took the flywheel off. It wasn't that big a deal to do. Another problem it had, and I don't know why, it wouldn't grab reverse. And there's an adjustment down there, and I adjusted it all the way, and it still wouldn't grab reverse. I'm pretty sure I had to drill something out. I forgot how I fixed it, but there's a video on it. The shear pins in the auger, I changed them. I don't have any extras. So what we're going to do, I want to see how it starts up on a cold start. We'll do that right here. And then there's a parking spot where we're going to take it to. It's unoccupied. And we're going to try and see if we can test it. Because there is still snow there. The sun really doesn't hit down there. So I'm going to see if we can see if the blower works, how it works. I don't know if we're going to be hitting any gravel. Last thing I want to do is hit any gravel. If I bust the shear pin, I'll have to go get a new one, because I know if I do have them, they're in the back of my storage. All snowblower parts. I'll just have to go out and buy a new one. Whether it's going to snow again this year, I have no idea. There's a little bit of gas in it. I'm hoping that we'll run it out of gas while we're testing it. Because I always like to run everything out of gas if we're not going to use it anymore until next year. This is actually a blower that's for sale. So that's about it. So let's see if we can, we'll do a cold start on it. Then we'll go down there and we'll see if it'll blow some snow. I've had this blow, the engine that's off the Craftsman. This engine's from the 90s. I did clean, when I first got the Craftsman, the gas tank, the gas is really old and it's sludgy. The carburetor is all sludged up. I was able to fix it. It ran okay for a while. Then I did it again. A few years later I did it again, but something internally in the carburetor isn't right. So I decided to get a Hyper carburetor. The carburetor was like $20.25, and it came with the primer bulb and a hose for that. And incidentally, whoever follows the channel, after I did the carburetor work, when we put the carburetor on it, I let it warm up real good, and I did change the oil on it, because I don't remember the last time I changed the oil. Because when the engine was on the Craftsman, when I used to go out snow plowing, I used to let the shoveler use it when we had a lot of snow when it was on the Craftsman. So I don't remember. I know I changed the oil when I first got the Craftsman, but that was years ago. But anyway, let's see how this thing starts up. I turned the gas on already. We'll give it a couple of primes. Here. Throttled it up, choked it. Use up the gas on it. So the primary reason why we changed the carburetor on it, I used to have to prime it like 12 times to get it to start, and then if it didn't start, I had to prime it again another 10 times. But that's a pretty good cold start right there. I think it's about 35 degrees out. All right, so let's move on. I'll go to the unoccupied parking space down there and see how it works. I think there's enough snow there where we could try it. So I'll be back to you soon. You can more or less pull these snowblowers back, but I want to try the reverse. As I said before, reverse, couldn't grab reverse when I first put this thing together here. So let's see what it does. I aim to shoot straight up so we don't hit this guy's trailer or hit the tent over here. seems to be working pretty good. I'm just gonna move you over a little bit. We just hit this little bit here. I'll put the camera up a little bit. It blew the snow pretty high, but there's not much snow here, so. I really don't like the idea of the gravel. It didn't do any damage, but eventually it will, or it could. Yeah, so it works really good. If we get another snowstorm, I think I could try it out by the street here. Some of you are familiar with the yard here, and about 4 feet in from the road, that's all paved. When they pave the street, they usually have another contractor come in and pave like 4 feet in from the highway, so we could try it there. If we get really high snow, which I highly doubt, if we get a little bit like 5 or 6 inches, I could hold that up enough to where I could test it without hitting any gravel. So, alright, so that's it. I just wanted to test it out, and I figured I'd bring you along with me to test this thing out after all the work that was done to it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope some of you got something out of it. It's not going to have as much power as the 8 horsepower Tecumseh, but it does pretty good for what it is. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you all on the next one, and take care.